Hello, everyone. I want to say that this is going to be week 3, Monday, Tuesday lesson. Week 3 would start with September 28th. So, and this is going to be for academic ELA blocks 2, 3, and 5. So if you're in blocks 2, 3, or 5 with me, this is where you should be. I am going to go ahead and share my tab. Okay, and I want to go into where we need to be. Okay, so all units, 7B, character and conflict, subunit 2, A Raisin in the Sun, lesson 6, and we are on tab 2. This week, okay, so last week we left off with basically we watched a little bit of the movie and we were able to see how the characters in the movie portrayed their emotions and the information that the plot that was going on, how different it was to watch the movie, and thought about how it would kind of be sort of the same to watch a live play. Then it was so much different between those two aspects of watching versus reading a script. So it would definitely be, these would be different. So we are reading a script, we're reading a play out loud, and so it's a little bit different. We have to depend on the stage directions to tell us what's going on with the characters. And how they're feeling, what they're supposed to look like, what they're supposed to act like in so doing. I think that this lesson wants you to think about, while you're reading the script or listening to the script, what these characters want. That's number one. And then number 2, how are they feeling? Because today we're going to read the part where the check actually comes, and everybody knows that it comes, and it's a big to-do, and all of their reactions to that check being in front of them. I want you to really hone in on how you think each one of the characters is feeling. So in tab 2, we have a chart, basically, that we need to put each of the characters' wants in. It has lines about the money, and every single character's obstacle is that there is a limited amount of money, okay? So that they have all of that in common, right? But then they have the characters' lines about the money where Walter and Benita are fighting about her becoming a doctor, and that she wants Mama to do what she wants with the money. What she wants, Benita, really deep down, is for Mama to help her through medical school. So we would put Benita is hoping that Mama will help her pay for medical school. So that would be her want. When you go further down, Mama says some of it got to be put away for Benita and her schooling, and ain't nothing going to touch that part of it, nothing. Okay. And then she goes on to say, I've been thinking that we maybe could meet the notes on a little 2-story somewhere with a yard where Travis could play in the summertime if we used part of the insurance for a down payment and everybody kind of pitched in. So her want is to help Benita through medical school and to put a down payment on a house so that the family has more room and a yard. Okay? So to better the family, Mama wants to do that for them with the money. Walter, okay, says, will somebody please listen to me And then he quietly, sometimes it's like I can see the future stretched out in front of me, just plain as day. The future hanging over there at the edge of my days, just waiting for me. A looming blank space full of nothing, just waiting for me, but it don't have to be. Mama, sometimes when I'm downtown, I pass them cool, quiet-looking restaurants where them white boys are sitting back and talking about things, sitting there turning deals worth millions of dollars. Sometimes I see guys don't look much older than me. And he goes on and on and on. This is where we are going to read today. You will hear him talk about that to her, trying to convince her to give him the money for the investment. So he wants Mama to give the money to him to invest in a liquor store. And the reason for that, so that he can provide for the family and more. Because at this point, he's only making what he's making as a chauffeur. And obviously, they live in a very small place. Ruth says, no, Mama, something is happening between Walter and me. I don't know what it is, but he needs something I can't give him anymore. He needs his chance. This is where Ruth wants Mama to give at least part of the money for Walter to invest. Because she's not asking at that point in there that to give all of the money to Walter, but she is kind of asking her what a transgress before was you wouldn't do for one without doing for the other. So she kind of made it sound like you needed to do for Walter too. Travis, on the other hand, okay, this morning we're supposed to bring the 50 cents to school. Well, I ain't got 50 cents. Travis wants enough money to take to school. He wants the 50 cents. That's as simple as that. Okay. So now that we've done that and filled that out, okay, what I want to do is go to card 3. And we're going to read the rest of this act, the scene, so that you can actually fill this out about the emotion each character is feeling at the end of Act 1. We are going to start off where we left off, okay? Remember, Asagai had just left, and we find out, well, right before that, we find out that Ruth is pregnant, and Asagai comes in with Nigerian robes and meets Beneatha's mama. And so we're at that point where, page 67. Okay. So Mama teases Beneatha about Asagai a little bit, and then I will read from there. All right. So this one actually starts out with scene 1 here, and it goes through all the way from where we were at the very beginning of all this, and we really don't need to read that much, okay? But I'm gonna read to you the rest of what we need to read for this lesson at this point, and then we can start thinking about what each of the characters is feeling at the end of Act 1. Mama says after Asagai leaves, Lord, that's a pretty thing just went out of here. Yes, I guess I see why we done commenced to get so interested in Africa around here, missionaries, my Aunt Jenny. And Mama exits. Beneatha says, oh, Mama. She picks up the Nigerian dress and holds it up to her in front of the mirror again. She sets the headdress on haphazardly and then notices her hair and clutches at it and then replaces the headdress and frowns at herself. Then she starts to wriggle in front of the mirror as she thinks a Nigerian woman might. Travis enters and stands regarding her. What's the matter, girl? You cracking up? Beneatha says, shut up. She pulls the headdress off and looks at herself in the mirror and clutches at her hair again and squinches her eyes as if trying to imagine something. Then suddenly she gets her raincoat and kerchief and hurriedly prepares for going out. Mama comes back in. She's resting now. Travis, baby, run next door and ask Miss Johnson to please let me have a little kitchen cleanser. This here can is empty as Jacob's kettle. Travis says, I just came in. Mama says, do as you told. He exits and she looks at her daughter. Where are you going? Beneath the halts, the door, to become a queen of the Nile. She exits in a breathless blaze of glory. Ruth appears in the bedroom. Who told you to get up, Mama says. Ain't nothing wrong with me to be lying in no bed for. Where did Benny go, Ruth says. Mama drumming her fingers. As far as I can make out to Egypt. Ruth just looks at her. What time is it getting to? Ruth says 10:20, and the mailman gonna ring that bell this morning just like he done every morning for the last umpteen years. Travis comes in with the cleanser. Travis says, she say to tell you that she don't have much. Mama angrily, Lord, some people I could name sure is tight-fisted. Directing her grandson, she says, mark 2 cans of cleanser down on the list. If she that hard up for kitchen cleanser, I sure don't want to forget to get her none. Lena, Ruth said. Maybe the woman's just short on cleanser. Mama's not listening. Much baking power as she done borrowed from me all those years, she could have done gone into the baking business. The bell sounds suddenly and sharply, and all three are stunned, serious and silent. Mid-speech, in spite of all the other conversations and distractions of the morning, this is what they've been waiting for. Even Travis, who looks helplessly from his mother to his grandmother, Ruth is the first to come to light. Ruth says to Travis, get down them steps, boy. Travis snaps to life and flies out to get the mail. Mama, her eyes wide, her hand to her breast. You mean it done really come? Ruth excited. Oh, Miss Lena. Mama collects herself. Well, I don't know what we all so excited around here. We know it was coming for months. Ruth says, that's a whole lot different from having it come and being able to hold it in your hands. A piece of paper worth $10,000. Travis burst back into the room. He holds the envelope high above his head like a little dancer. His face is radiant and he's breathless. He moves to his grandmother with sudden, slow ceremony and puts the envelope into her hands. She accepts it and then merely holds it and looks at it. Come on, open it, Ruth says. Lord have mercy, I wish Walter Lee was here. Open it, Grandmama, Travis says. Mama, staring at it. You all be quiet, it's just a check. Open it, Ruth says. Mama still stares at it. Now don't act silly. We ain't never been no people to act silly about no money. Ruth swiftly says, we ain't never had none before. Open it. Mama finally makes a good, strong tear and pulls out the thin blue slice of paper and inspects it closely. The boy and his mother study it rapidly over Mama's shoulders. Mama says, Travis. She's counting off with doubt. Is that the right number of zeros? Travis says, yes, $10,000. Golly, Grandmama, you rich. Mama, she holds the check away from her, still looking at it. But slowly, her face sobers into a mask of unhappiness. $10,000. She hands it to Ruth. Put it away somewhere, Ruth. She does not look at Ruth. Her eyes seem to be seeing something somewhere very far off. $10,000, all they give you. $10,000. So her demeanor, her emotions are definitely very forthright. You can absolutely see them and understand them. She's excited, then tries not to be because she tells herself it's just money. But when she gets it, she feels guilty about getting it. The way that she got it was her husband had to die to get $10,000. So she goes from being a little bit excited about what she could do with that money to being unhappy, knowing that that's all you get for losing your own husband. Travis says to his mother, what's the matter with Grandmama? Don't she want to be rich? Ruth distractedly says, you go on out and play now, baby. Travis exits. Mama starts wiping dishes absently, humming intently to herself. Ruth turns with kind exasperation. You've gone and got yourself upset. Mama not looking at her. I expect if it wasn't for you all, I would just put that money away or give it to the church or something. Ruth says, now, what kind of talk is that? Mr. Younger would just plain be mad if he could hear you talking foolish like that. Mama stops and stares off. Yes, they sure would. We got enough to do with that money, all right. She halts and turns and looks at her daughter-in-law hard. Ruth avoids her eyes, and Mama wipes her hands with finality and starts to speak firmly to Ruth. Where did you go today, girl? To the doctor, Ruth said. Mama impatiently. Now, Ruth, you know better than that. Old Dr. Jones is strange enough in his way, but there ain't nothing about him make somebody slip and call him she like you done this morning. Well, that's what happened, Ruth said. My tongue slipped. Mama says, you went to see that woman, didn't you? Ruth defensively. What woman you talking about? Mama angrily. That woman who, Walter enters in great excitement. Did it come? Walter says. Mama quietly. Can't you give people a Christian greeting before you start asking about money? Walter to Ruth. Did it come? Ruth unfolds the check and lays it quietly before him, watching him intently with thoughts of her own. Walter sits down and grasps it close and counts off the zeros. $10,000, he said. He turns suddenly, frantically to his mother and draws some papers out of his breast pocket. Mama, look, old Willie Harris put everything on paper. Son, Mama says, I think you ought to talk to your wife. I'll go on out and leave you alone if you want. Walter says, I can talk to her later. Mama, look. Son, Mama says, will somebody please listen to me today? Walter says. Mama quietly. I don't allow no yelling in this house, Walter Lee, and you know it. Walter stares at them in frustration and starts to speak several times. And there ain't going to be no investing in no liquor stores, Mama said. Walter says, but Mama, you ain't even looked at it. Mama says, I don't aim to have to speak on that again. And there's a long pause, and Walter says, you ain't looked at it, and you don't aim to have to speak on that again? You ain't even looked at it, and you have decided? He crumples the papers. Well, you tell that to my boy tonight when you put him to sleep on the living room couch. He turns to Mama and speaks directly to her. Yeah, and tell it to my wife, Mama, tomorrow when she has to go out of here to look after somebody else's kids. And tell it to me, Mama, every time we need a new pair of curtains and I have to watch you go out and work in somebody's kitchen. Yeah, you tell me then. Walter starts out. Where are you going, Ruth says. I'm going out, Walter says. Where? Ruth says. Just out of this house somewhere, Walter says. Ruth gets her coat. I'll come too. Walter says, I don't want you to come. Ruth says, I got something to talk to you about, Walter. Walter says, that's too bad. Mama, still quietly, says, Walter Lee. She waits and he finally turns and looks at her. Sit down. Walter says, I'm a grown man, Mama. Mama says, ain't nobody said you wasn't grown. But you still in my house in my presence, and as long as you are, you'll talk to your wife civil. Now sit down. Ruth suddenly says, oh, let him go on out and drink himself to death. He makes me sick to my stomach. She flings her coat against him and exits to the bedroom. Walter violently flinging the coat after her. And you turn mine too, baby. The door slams behind her. That was my biggest mistake. Mama still quietly. Walter, what is the matter with you? Matter with me, Walter says. Ain't nothing the matter with me. Mama says, yes, there is. Something's eating you up like a crazy man. Something more than me not giving you this money. The past few years, I've been watching it happen to you. You get all nervous acting and kind of wild in the eyes. Walter jumps up impatiently at her words. I said sit there now. I'm talking to you. Mama, Walter says, I don't need no nagging at me today. Mama says, seem like you get into a place where you always tied up in some kind of knot about something. But if anybody asks you about it, you just yell at them and bust out the house and go out and drink somewhere. Walter Lee, people can't live with that. Ruth's a good, patient girl in her way, but you're getting to be too much, boy. Don't make the mistake of driving that girl away from you. Why? Walter says. What'd she do for me? She loves you, Mama said. Mama, I'm going out, Walter says. I want to go off somewhere and be by myself for a while. Mama says, I'm sorry about your liquor store, son. It just wasn't the thing for us to do. That's what I want to tell you about. Walter says, I gotta go out, Mama, and he rises. It's dangerous, son, Mama says. What's dangerous? When a man goes outside this house to look for peace. Walter says, then why can't there be no peace in this house then? Mama says, you done found it in some other house? No, there ain't no woman, Walter says. Why do women always think there's a woman somewhere when a man gets restless? He picks up the check. Do you know what this money means to me? Do you know what this money can do for us? Puts it back. Mama, I want so many things. Yes, son, Mama said. I want so many things that they're driving me kind of crazy, Walter says. Mama, look at me. I'm looking at you, Mama says. You a good looking boy. You got a job, a nice wife, a fine boy. And Walter says, a job? Mama, a job? I open close and close car doors all day. I drive a man around in his limousine and I say, yes, sir. No, sir. Very good, sir. Shall I take the drive, sir? Mama, that ain't no kind of job. That ain't nothing at all. Very quietly, he says, Mama, I don't know if I can make you understand. Understand what, baby? Mama said. Walter says, sometimes it's like I can see the future stretched out in front of me, just plain as day. The future, Mama, hanging over there at the edge of my days, just waiting for me. A big, looming blank space full of nothing. Just waiting for me. But it don't have to be. He paused and kneels beside her chair. Mama, sometimes when I'm downtown and I pass them cool, quiet-looking restaurants where them white boys are sitting back and talking about things, sitting there turning deals worth millions of dollars. Sometimes I see guys don't look much older than me. Son, Mama says, how come you talk so much about money? Walter says with immense passion, because it is life, Mama. Mama quietly says, oh, so now it's life. Money is life. Once upon a time, freedom used to be life. Now it's money. I guess the world really do change. Walter says, no, it was always money, Mama. We just didn't know about it. Mama says, no, something's changed. She looks at him. You something new, boy. In my time, we was worried about not being lynched and getting to the north, if we could, and how to stay alive and still have a pinch of dignity. Now, here you come and beneath us, talking about things we ain't ever even thought about hardly, me and your daddy. You ain't satisfied or proud of nothing we done. I mean, that you had a home, that we kept you out of trouble till you was grown, that you don't have to ride to work on the back of nobody's streetcar. You my children. But how different we've become. Walter, a long beat, pats her hand and gets up. You just don't understand, Mama. You just don't understand. Son, Mama says, do you know your wife is expecting another baby? Walter stands stunned and absorbs what his mother has said. That's what she wanted to talk to you about. Walter sinks down into the chair. This ain't for me to be telling you, but you ought to know. She waits. I think Ruth is thinking about getting rid of that child. Walter slowly understanding. No, Ruth wouldn't do that. Mama says when the world gets ugly enough, a woman will do anything for her family. The part that's already living. Walter says, you don't know Ruth, Mama, if you think she'd do that. Ruth opens the bedroom door and stands there, a little limp. Ruth, beaten down, says, yes, I would too, Walter. I gave her a $5 down payment. There's total silence as the man stares at his wife and the mother stares at her son. Mama presently says, well, son, I'm waiting to hear you say something. I'm waiting to hear how you be your father's son, be the man he was. Your wife says she going to destroy your child, and I'm waiting to hear you talk like him and say we are people who give children life, not who destroys them. She rises. I'm waiting to see you stand up and look like your daddy and say we done give up one baby to poverty and that we ain't going to give up nary another one. I'm waiting. Walter says, Ruth, but then he can say nothing. Mama says, if you a son of mine, tell her. Walter picks up his keys and his coat and walks out. She continues bitterly, you are a disgrace to your father's memory. Somebody get me my hat. And that's the curtain for Act 1. All right, so we're going to go back up. We're going to do tab 2, card 3 now. What's one emotion each character is feeling at the end of Act 1? Now, that was the close of Act 1. Obviously, Mama is very upset, okay, with Walter right now. And if you did not catch it, Ruth is planning on getting rid of the pregnancy. So because they don't have the money, because they don't have the means, they don't have the space. And Mama had a little bit of an inclination that that's what was going to happen. And so when Ruth admitted it, Walter didn't say anything to her. He just walked out. And Mama's really upset, feeling that, you know, Walter has not been true to himself or lived up to what he was supposed to. Ruth is beaten down. She is tired. She feels defeated because she just has given up on the whole thing. Just let him go, do what he wants to do. You know, I'm done. Travis is excited about his grandmother being rich because that's how he sees it as a child. And Walter is frustrated and angry that his mother will not give him the money for the investment. He is tired of his life and not being able to get ahead. So basically, all of those are filled in about each character. We're going to go to tab 3 now. And on tab 3, we're doing cards 1 and 3 as well. This is going to be more on your own. We're going to highlight clues about what your character is feeling when the check arrives. Okay, so I want you to go through, and this is the scene here when the check arrives, where the bell sounds. Okay, I want you to pick, you know, how a line that Mama kind of shows you what she's feeling, or Ruth shows you what she's feeling, or there are stage directions that tell you what they're feeling. So here, I'm sorry, my fault. Ruth here, the stage direction says that she's excited. Okay. Mama, her hands, her eyes wide, and her hand to her breast. She's a little nervous and excited at the same time. When Travis comes back up, let's see if we can find that. Okay, he holds the envelope. Shoot. And he's radiant and breathless. Okay, you can also use that. Okay, for Travis. And then Walter comes in and just kind of doesn't want, let's see, here we go. Frantic, right here. Okay. You know, there are a lot of parallels between the way that they're feeling. Obviously, every single one of them are feeling some type of excitement, but there's a lot of nervousness in Walter and frantic kind of quality in Walter because he's really still trying to convince Mama. So we have highlighted those. Now in number 2, you have to use evidence from the text to describe one character's emotions. Okay, so you are going to use race. And if you pick, let's say mama is feeling whatever right now, as evidenced by the fact that she holds her hands. So you have to use race, restate answer, cite evidence, and then explain. It can only be a couple of, it should only be a couple of sentences, but tell one character's emotions by one of the things that we highlighted. Okay, that's enough said. All right, so now we're going to skip over and we're going to go all the way to the exit ticket. All right, and in the exit ticket, it says in line 212, Walter says, will somebody listen to me today? How does mama's action support Walter's claim that no one is listening to him? So let's go back, because I did read this to you. And let me go to that part where he says, will somebody please listen to me today? Mama says quietly, I don't allow no yelling in this house, Walter Lee, and you know it. And there ain't going to be no investing in liquor stores. All right, so how does mama's actions support Walter's claim that no one's listening to him? She tells him not to yell in the house. She forces him to talk to Ruth. She refuses to look at his proposal, or she suggests he greet the family properly when he enters the house. Which one would that be? And then hand it in. All right, so now we're going to go to the solo. This part is the part where we are going to do, this is homework, all right? But I am going to basically go through the solo with you. There really doesn't have to be any more reading per se, because we have done all the way to the end of the act. And this is the scene that we already read, where they get the check, and it goes all the way until Walter basically walks out. All right. So in number 1, drag 2 phrases that explain why mama doesn't want to talk to Walter about the money. She is tired from working all day and wants to take a nap. She thinks it is important that he talks to Ruth right away. She is busy with chores she thinks he should be helped with. She doesn't believe his business idea is a good one. Or she already spent the money on other things. There are 2 of these that you have to pick, drag and drop, and then press next. Card 4 says, what does Walter think about his plan for the money? Walter thinks what? That it is dangerous, that it is the best way to improve the family's life, that it is the same dream his father always had, that it could possibly be illegal. So think about this. Walter really wants to make things better for his family. He alludes to, okay, so now you're not going to give me the money. But think about this. I'm going to look at you every single time my wife has to go out of here and take care of somebody else's kids, or you have to go out to earn money for curtains, or Travis has to sleep in the living room. So basically, he just wants better for his family, and he really believes that this liquor store will be the thing that does it. All right, card 5. Mama has her opinions about things concerning Walter. Determine which statements are true or false about what mama thinks. Walter should be more appreciative of Ruth. True or false? Walter is ready to start a business. She feels that he's ready to start a business. True or false? Walter should be happier with what he has. True or false? Walter could be more ambitious. Okay, so let me explain that. Ambitious means that he should want more. He should go out and get more. Is that true or false? Walter is less hardworking than any other man his age. Now let's talk about these. All right. She really is upset with him about his attitude towards Ruth. She's not going to give him the money, so obviously she doesn't think that he should go into business. She also alludes to the fact that she doesn't understand why he's not happy about his freedom, because her generation had to fight for it. And why does he want more? This generation has changed so much. They want all of this stuff, and they're not appreciative of what they have. And she says that he works hard. She says that, you know, he has a job and a wife and a child, and he should be appreciative of it. Okay. So once you're finished with those drop downs, true or false, click next. This question has two parts. Part one, how does Walter think money will make him feel? So will it make him feel more educated, less guilty, more important, or less misunderstood? So think about this. When he alludes to the fact over here, he says, I want so many things. And then sometimes, okay, that, you know, the chauffeur ain't no job. Sometimes he goes by the people making $1 million deals, and those white boys are not any older than he is. So it's one of those things. Think about this, read between the lines, more educated, less guilty, more important, or less misunderstood. Which quote best supports your answer? I want so many things that they are driving me kind of crazy. Because it's life, mama. I pass them cool, quiet looking restaurants where them white boys are sitting back and talking about things, sitting there turning deals worth millions of dollars. Or you just don't understand. Okay, and then press next. This is the last card. Which character do you feel most sympathy for during this scene? Okay, now, really think sympathy. Are you sympathetic to Walter about having the pressure that he probably feels about being the breadwinner and trying to make sure that he provides for his family, including his mother and including his sister? Do you feel sympathetic for Benitha because she's worried that, you know, she may not get the money, or she is just going to allow her mom to give her the money? Do you feel sorry or sympathetic for Mama, who has to make that decision about where the money is going between her two children and the things that she wants? Or do you feel more sorry for Ruth because, you know, she's pregnant and she's in this relationship that isn't that great right now? Okay, so you're going to use race. Okay, it should be at least 2 to 3 sentences as to you feel sorry for this character because, give me example and give me an explanation. Okay. Sure enough. All right. So a couple things that I want to mention are that on Thursday, Friday, whether you have me Thursday or Friday, you will do a do now in the beginning of the class that will be about the characters. It's really a short little quiz about whether you know who the characters are. So in order for you to study that, you go to Schoology. I will put this in week 3. Okay. Actually, I think I said that. I guess I already did, but this is the character list here. And it explains who all of the characters are. And then down here, it has a web of sorts. So you need to look at those and know which character is which. Every single person on here, with the exception of Carl Lindner, George Murchison, and Mrs. Johnson, you have either met or heard about. You need to know who they are. So Carl Lindner, George Murchison, and Mrs. Johnson. Okay? You can go ahead and look those over and study and know which ones are which for a very short quiz on Thursday, Friday. Okay, and I think that will do it for the lesson. If there are any questions, please email me on Schoology, hit me up on Talking Points, or log on during Extra Help. I will be seeing you, talking to you soon.